We began our journey in the city of Toulouse, the fourth largest city in France. It has the nickname of the Pink City because of the pinkish terracotta bricks used on its unique architecture. The capital square is the heart of the city and functions as a market and festival square. The 29 overhead paintings in this gallery on one side of Capitol Square retrace the history of Toulouse. Here and elsewhere in the city are overhead plastic streamers installed during the hot summer months to shade pedestrians. The 16th to 17th century Pont-Neuf Bridge has large holes which allow water to pass through during flooding. The Basilica Saint Sernin is one of the best preserved Romanesque churches in the world, and construction began towards the end of the 4th century, but was slowed due to numerous interruptions during its construction. On our way to our next destination, we stopped long enough for a short boat ride along the Canal Midi, which connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean by waterway. We arrived by bus in Carcassonne that afternoon, and from our hotel balcony that evening, we were treated to this spectacular view of the medieval citadel. The next morning began with an early visit to the citadel, ahead of the flood of tourists. The citadel was built in the 4th century by the Romans and restored in the 19th century. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Inside the walls of the citadel is a Romanesque Gothic church, constructed from the 11th to the 13th centuries. It is renowned for its stunning stained glass windows. It didn't take long for the throngs of tourists to arrive, as this was the height of the tourist season. While in Carcassonne, we took time out to enjoy an afternoon aperitif, a popular social custom of the local population. A visit to a nearby winery is usually included in the itinerary, which meets with no opposition from our group of travelers. The visit concluded with a lunch of fresh ingredients with one new taste sensation, a waffle covered in melted blue cheese, chased down by wine, of course. Just outside of Carcassonne is the Saint Hilaire Benedictine Monastery, founded at the end of the 8th century. The monastery as it appears today originated in the 14th century. Here we got to taste the ingredients we purchased at a local market, washed down by a bit of the bubbly. Street performers of all kinds provided pleasant diversions on our walk through the city. We drove past fields of vineyards on our way to the French city of Avignon, a bustling port city located on the left bank of the Rhone River. 2.5 miles of 14th century stone walls surround the city. This medieval bridge of 4 arches is all that remains of the original bridge, built with 22 stone arches, most of which have been destroyed by flooding. Avignon is also known as the City of Popes, as the papacy was located here for most of the 14th century. The Palace of the Popes is actually 2 joined buildings built by the 2 popes, Benedict XII and Clement VI. Together they form the largest Gothic building of the Middle Ages. On one of the nearby buildings could be seen the national motto of France: Liberty, Equality, Fraternity, a phrase which emerged during the French Revolution in the late 18th century. We then drove by bus to the city of Nice, where we were to board our 50-passenger ship for a 10-day cruise of the Mediterranean. On a brief city orientation walk, we passed by families cooling off from the hot afternoon sun. That evening, a few of us were fortunate to share dinner with the ship's captain. We had 2 days to explore Nice, including watching visitors sunbathing at the beach or enjoying the various water sports. And of course, time out for a photo to prove we were there. We also spent some time at the Matisse Museum, which displayed works of art by Henri Matisse, one of the masters of 20th century art, who spent the last 40 years of his life in Nice. Then it was time to leave behind the picturesque port at Nice, with its luxury yachts basking in the afternoon sun, and the cars and people loading onto a massive ferry ship that would transport them elsewhere. Our first destination was Imperia, a coastal city of Italy. We disembarked there and took a bus to a nearby olive oil plant, getting an introduction to the process for extracting olive oil. Next in store was making pesto, and everyone took their turns with a mortar and pestle. The ingredients: fresh basil leaves, garlic, salt, pine nuts, and Parmigiano cheese. We all agreed it was the best. The next day we boarded a ferry to cruise the coastal towns of Cinque Terre, a string of 5 seaside fishing villages along the rugged Italian Riviera coastline. In Vernazza, we climbed a few steps for a loftier view of the town. Very picturesque, to state the obvious. We made one other stop in the village of Monterosso, where beachside umbrellas stretched as far as the eye could see. We docked along the coast of Tuscany in order to visit the nearby Carrara marble quarry. Marble has been taken from these hills since the time of the Romans, and the Carrara quarries have produced more marble here than any other place on earth. After our quarry visit, we experienced one of the highlights of the trip: lunch with a local family. We ate, drank wine, and visited with this delightful family, all with a panoramic view of the village from our dining room table. Our next port of call was Bastia on the island of Corsica, a French territory. From there we sailed to the island of Elba, which is part of Italy, arriving in the warmth of early morning light. A 2-person funicular transported us to the top of Mount Trapani for a breathtaking panoramic view of the island. The next day we spent some time exploring the town of Portoferrero, where our ship was docked. Napoleon Bonaparte spent 10 months in exile on Elba, beginning in 1814. This was his residence. On board ship, we had port talks every evening, providing time to mingle and learn about our fellow travelers. Case in point, Attlee, who evolved from a hobby during his career to a serious avocation of watercolor portraiture in retirement. An amazing talent. So are there days when being out and about for hours leaves you utterly exhausted? These pictures say it all. And in case you're curious, yes, the couples gave their permission for the photos to be used. After 10 days, we disembarked in Gaeta, Italy, and drove to the Sicily-Rome American Cemetery in Nettuno, one of 26 overseas cemeteries honoring America's war dead. Close to 8,000 American soldiers from World War II were interred here. We were given flowers that we could place on the graves of our choice. We left the cemetery and drove to Rome, where we would spend the last 2.5 days of our trip. With so many choices for things to do, we had to be a bit selective. We strolled past the Spanish Steps, of which there are 135, with their Egyptian-style obelisks set at the top of the steps. The 18th century Trevi Fountain, just over a half-mile away, was also a must-see, despite the multitude of tourists. The second day, we opted for a tour of the Vatican Museums, the Sistine Chapel, and St. Peter's Basilica. Almost too much to absorb in just a few hours. Finally, the farewell dinner, and our last opportunity to share a glass of wine and a meal with our fellow travelers. And we definitely made the most of it. Before we say goodbye, here are a few more images from the trip.